Could the Cubs be in perfect position right now to pull off another stunner this offseason and land Zac Gallen? We're going to talk about Zac Gallen. I know we have a lot on this channel, but there's still a chance that the Cubs could make one more big move before the start of the season. Now, we've talked a lot about Nico Hoerner and the Red Sox. Ton of pressure on Boston to get a right-handed batting infielder, a second baseman, but the Cubs want a lot in return, and it's looking like this trade's not going to happen. We'll get into that as well. So like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this show started. Always good to see you guys. I love the fact that you're here. Let's get this show on the road, as they say. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie, Cubs Baseball Channel, and it is wonderful to talk to you guys today. All right, let me get right to the first thing I want to talk about today, and that is, again, Zac Gallen to the Cubs. Bruce Levine, who's part of The Score and works for other baseball entities, was basically on the air talking about the same exact thing I said yesterday, and that is that the Zac Gallen contract could really be something that helps the Cubs out. Now, I've told you, you're going to have to give up a lot. You're going to lose compensation in the draft. You could go over the luxury tax threshold, and you'd have to pay on that. But with the Cubs constantly saying that they want to add more pitching, he's the top free agent available, and I just can't get it out of my mind that it was reported by Bob Nightingale, who is always on target, or at least he's always really close, that he was coming to the Cubs. And remember, that was way back. I still think that there's a chance he comes. There's a reason why Bob Nightingale thought that. So now you look at it, right? You got Cade Horton. You got Edward Cabrera. The Cubs traded their top minor league player, their top prospect, to get him. You got Shota Imanaga, Matthew Boyd, Jamison Tyone. What are those guys going to be this year? That's a question. Shota was down last season. Boyd was way up last season. I thought Tyone was up last season. But couldn't they do that back-to-back years? Then you talk about Jordan Wicks and Ben Brown and Javier Assad. And then, of course, Colin Ray, who I really like him. I like all those guys, but I really like Ray. But if you say that, and I mean Ray as far as his versatility, what he brings to the table, the fact that he can do a lot of different things, he's versatile. But you can potentially go out and get one of the most durable, high-Q right-handers in baseball. And I felt like the Cubs rotation needed a right-hander like Gallen. And I think Gallen would benefit from pitching in Wrigley. You're talking about a guy with a deep 5-pitch mix. He doesn't have overpowering velocity, but he still throws hard. I mean, he can get it up 97, 98, but he sits 92, 94, and I think that's okay with a four-seam fastball. I know a lot of guys go out there and try to hump it every pitch, but you don't have to do it that way. He has a curveball, which is a swing and a miss pitch. I like the fact that he gets a lot of whiffs on that. The 12-6 action, beautiful to me. You got a changeup, which is, as you guys know, my favorite pitch. And that pitch tunnels well, especially when you talk about his ability to throw that compared to his fastball. He's got a cutter. He's got a slider. And when this guy is doing his best, he's got excellent command and control. But the behind-the-scenes stuff with Gallen, I think, would work great for guys like Cade Horton, right? Look, he's known for exceptional poise. He's known for hard work ethic, for the ability to pitch into games, right? That he goes near 200 innings a season. And sequencing, like he keeps hitters off balance. He's really good at that. The biggest thing is that last year was a down year for him. And that was after consecutive top 5 finishes for the Cy Young. So he's coming off of a down year. You know what his agent wants to do. Hey, we're not getting the contract that I think you're worth. let's do one of these deals where we got you covered, kind of like the Bellinger deal a few years ago with the Cubs. It's got opt-outs. You're going to get paid. And if we don't feel like the market's better, let's come back. And if not, hey, good 1 year. And then I'm going to go out and sign somewhere else, because they probably feel like he's undervalued right now because of that season. And pitching's one of those things that guys get hurt, guys start trending in the wrong direction. Teams don't want to sign them to long-term deals. But the Cubs have had a fascination with Gallen from the beginning. And even with Cabrera is the opposite when it comes to durability. You know, you can add a guy that you know is going to be super durable and put him in this rotation. So we'll see. And then maybe if you do this, and Bruce mentioned it on his hit, you trade somebody else. I've thought it might be Tyone just because of the contract and maybe the value for him right now. You know, what about Shota? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if he has a trade clause or not, guys. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. But where they are right now, you add Zac Gallen. It's not like getting Scooble we were talking about yesterday, but this guy's really good. And the Cubs see something in him. And, you know, I say this all the time. The number one thing that this organization does well is that pitch lab. Maybe you get him in there and, and he starts to figure out whatever went wrong last year and turns that right. All right. Second thing is the Nico Hoerner price tag. And let me tell you, the price tag is getting high because the Cubs are basically saying, look, we don't want to trade Nico. And the Red Sox, now that they didn't get Brandon Donovan, now they don't have anybody, right? And when you look at that match, right, the reason that they probably didn't sign him is they want a right-handed batter in that spot. So for the Red Sox, I mean, are they willing to pay a huge price to get Nico Hoerner? Well, when you start looking at their infield options, right, Marcelo Mayer and to play third base, and then maybe platoon with Rami Gonzalez and David Hamilton at second base. I don't know. I mean, Alex Bregman, and the fact that they didn't get Alex Bregman makes no sense to me, because they probably thought they had it in the bag. They made an aggressive offer. We came in, we stole them away. Now they're in a spot where they may have to give up, if they want a Nico or a Matt Shaw, who'd be a right-handed second baseman, they're going to have to give up a lot. And I think for Shaw, the Cubs would probably be willing to go somebody that they could take over as a utility guy, and then maybe they replenish their right now, very weak minor league system. Or, maybe it doesn't happen at all, because it kind of feels like maybe this deal isn't going to happen. And I don't mean Nico, I mean Matt Shaw as well. But Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic also kind of talked about it, and he was basically like, Red Sox need an infielder, and they want a right-handed hitter. They're not getting him. So, who would be the guy? And, you maybe Kendall Marte of the Diamondbacks, but the Diamondbacks, they had him on the block at the beginning and then kind of pulled him back. And then maybe, Nico. And if you get Nico for a 1-year deal, you're giving up a lot for him, or Matt Shaw. But the Cubs don't want to trade Nico. I think a big part of that is you guys. You guys have been like, look, we don't want to trade Nico. And you know what? It's your team. Maybe you don't own the team, but it is your team. And obviously ownership's listening, so that's a good thing. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was this fake news story that was going around on the internet that claimed that our good buddy Jody Davis had cancer. It's unbelievable to me. I was going to pull it up and show the screen grab of it, but it's unbelievable to me that someone would write a story basically saying that somebody else had cancer and it be totally false. I text Jody immediately to ask him, and he's like, no, I mean, I don't want to repeat everything that he said, but he's not very happy about it. And part of the reason is that his family freaked out. He doesn't have brain cancer. And the fact that someone would write this shows you how awful some of these people are on the internet, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. If you want to create content, go out and write legitimate stories. But I see it all the time. I mean, it's not just a Cubs, thing. I mean, I've seen it with every team in the league where people are just going after clicks. They write these fake stories. It catches everyone's heart. And then we find out we got duped. So that's the case with this one. So Jody is going to be inducted into the Cubs Hall of Fame. And I am planning on being there for that. And I hope you guys are as well. But he's doing great and he doesn't have cancer. Just let all of you guys know that. And just from my vantage point, I think that whoever is responsible for that ought to be banned from being on any media site. But I mean, what are you going to do, right? And I don't think that's free press to write fake stories. I just don't. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think. Thank you for hanging as always. This is my last day of vacation. I'll be back at the home studio really soon, traveling back tomorrow. I missed one day. We got through a month, and then as soon as I bragged about it. But anyway, keep an eye on everything going on. And we are closing in on pitchers and catchers reporting. I would not be surprised if the Cubs don't figure out a way to get Zac Gallen. Just this gut feeling. Now, I'm not saying it's imminent, but I just wouldn't be surprised. I'll leave it at that. And I've had a pretty good track record this year on things I wouldn't be surprised by. All right, we will talk to you again tomorrow, everybody, or at least we'll try. Go.